My cousin. He'll find you.
Your cousin? Really? Fun tidbit. I fought your cousin once. In the future. He is fast. I'm faster.
He's fast, I'm faster. So this is going to be my parts 3 and 4 video for the Crisis crossover. Just careful for spoilers if you haven't seen it yet. There were all kinds of pop culture references. They also did another Superman reference, so it's this funny reverse twist on what happened during Justice League. But there's a new round of the Flash Ring giveaway. All you have to do to enter is be a subscriber and leave a comment on the video. I'll name a new winner at the end of this. All right, let's do it. So starting back in the concentration camp, we find out that Evil Quentin is sort of the lackey of the Fuhrer, who is confirmed as Earth X Oliver. And we get a lot more context and backstory about the characters from Earth X. Like, he killed his version of Sarah because she was an LGBT character. Like, that's why they were talking about, what's the pink triangle for? What are the stars for? So it should go without saying, most of you probably remember from world history that the stars they refer to are the stars of David for people of the Jewish faith. Then you learn about the pink triangles, but we finally meet the Ray character, who is an LGBT character. Like, that was the big thing they were hyping up when they introduced him. So in addition to seeing him show off his powers for the first time, you also get to see Citizen Cold wearing a version of the comic book costume, probably the most comic book accurate one that we've seen so far. But if you're not a big comic book reader, the Citizen Cold character is actually from the Flashpoint timeline. He was in a relationship with Iris West. So because we knew that Wentworth Miller is leaving the DC TV universe, the actor is not going to be on the shows for, who knows how long. It was weird that they didn't kill him and he's staying on Earth 1, but it just means that when he does come back eventually, it will be this version of the character. We get to see Reverse Flash back in the wheelchair from Season 1. He references the events of Season 1. I built this place. I had to live here for 15 years. I hated every minute of it. They give Felicity the Mangala reference, and that's kind of who Reverse Flash is for most of these 2 episodes, where if you don't remember, he was the Nazi SS scientist who performed all these crazy human experiments. So he says he's gonna crack Supergirl like a walnut. Totally love the joke about them all being stuck in the pipeline prison and unable to break out, because almost every season, metahumans find a way to break out of there, and Barry busted out in the first episode, he was so powerful. So talking a little bit more about the Ray character, if you're unfamiliar with him from the comics, he's from the Freedom Fighters. They're actually doing an animated series for that, so that's why he's going back to Earth X, because that's where the animated series will take place. That's going to air on CWC. It'll be just like the Vixen cartoon that they did. Just like Superman and Supergirl, he can absorb solar radiation, but unlike them, he can also redirect it as energy blast. So whenever he was blasting Red Tornado with the Flash, he was just giving off excess solar radiation. But originally in the comics, he got his powers genetically through his father, who was the Golden Age version of the character. They're a little cagey about how he wound up on Earth X, but the Freedom Fighters are using the Arrow Cave of Earth X, like you walk and you instantly know where you are. Well, I guess we're in Star City. We finally learned that the Doomsday device they keep referring to during the trailers is the evil version of the Wave Rider, who's voiced by Susanna Thompson, Oliver's mother, during the first couple of seasons of Arrow. So it's a deep cut. Like, the minute you hear her voice, you're like, wait a minute, that's Oliver's mother. This is crazy. We get a couple references to Nyssa and the characters they've lost. Sarah talks about losing Laurel. We're not going to let you lose your sister the way I lost my sister. They totally went for Earth X Felicity bait when Oliver was trying to pretend to be the evil version of himself so he could infiltrate the base and turn off the power dampener. But I think there was actually pictures from behind the scenes circulating of a gravestone that read Felicity. And obviously she's Jewish, so she would have been in those concentration camps. But she's a brunette on this planet. That's actually her natural hair color. She's just been dyeing it blonde ever since that flashback in, I think it was season 2 or season 3, where you see the goth Felicity when she was in college. She just totally gives herself a makeover, and she's looked like that ever since. But it turns out that the big death of the episode is Martin Stein. But we kind of knew this was coming, like the way he talked about all the plans he was making for himself. The minute a character does that before a huge battle like this, and there are rumors about the actor leaving the universe, leaving the TV shows, you know that they're probably going to kill him. But they mention Ronnie's name during this big crossover no less than I think at least 4 times. They talked about the original Ronnie Raymond, just remembering him and all those conversations with Caitlin. They also reference baby Ronnie Stein, who's Martin Stein's new grandson. So when he was at the funeral there, it just feels like what they'll do is they'll grab him from the future when he's an adult, and he'll form the other half of the new Firestorm. And it'll be a Ronnie Jax Firestorm, just like in the comics when Jason Rush and Ronnie Raymond were together. But that is still speculation. They might do something about that in the mid-season finale or the back half of the season on Legends. There were no less than 2 Terminator references when Iris said, "Come with me if you want to live," and then at the end when they take down Metallo and Black Canary has the Terminator line. Cisco has never had more fun. I always love the pop culture references during big battles. And then when Felicity and Iris were together in the air ducts, they did a Die Hard reference. The Nazis send Earth-X Red Tornado after the Freedom Fighter, so it winds up being the Ray in the Flash versus Red Tornado, and they give him a big redesign from the last time we saw him on Supergirl. He looks so much better, and they do give him that moment where he overpowers them briefly before they combine their powers. Just because Red Tornado is one of the most powerful members of the Justice League, so there have been a couple times when he's kicked all of their asses when he's gone off the rails. Reverse Flash does his angry helicopter thing, taunting Felicity. It also burns her with a pretty deep cut from Smallville when he says, "History has all these legends about all these great deeds the Justice League characters have done, but nobody remembers who you are," as if there are no big deeds that Felicity does, like implying that she dies at some point in the future. In the Smallville reference in there is that it happened to Chloe Sullivan when she was taken over by Brainiac, who was from the future, and he said that history doesn't remember you. So if she was still alive in the world of Smallville, then I think it's safe to assume that this version of Felicity will live on, whether or not history records any of the deeds that she does. One of the other coolest Reverse Flash references too is when he says as he's running away, "I wonder what face I'll be wearing the next time we meet." Just implying that he will be wearing a different face, and we can talk about that more in separate bonus videos because there's 1,000 different faces that he could be wearing. There's a couple big comic book twists that they have not done yet that they could do in the future, so it's just wide open to theory crafting. He's just saying that he will definitely come back at some point, but right now the fight on the Flash is all about the Thinker, so it's probably not going to happen right away. We finally get the Legends characters back. Ray drops a Simpsons reference when he says "Embiggen" and grows his hand to swat that Nazi. He's actually been able to do that this whole time. It's just that they don't have the CG budget on Legends to do that all the time. They go full Buckaroo Banzai with their big lineup, just like they did last year. It's just a bigger version of that. Like if you saw all the pictures, there were a couple people that were missing. That's because they had to add them in CG later. They drop a couple more Superman Easter eggs, literally when Supergirl drops to Earth and she's caught by Citizen Steel and he says Man of Steel catching the Girl of Steel. But also Earth-X Kara's death is the All-Star Superman death, just a slightly different twist on that. If you haven't read it, in that All-Star Superman storyline, he absorbs too much solar radiation and basically has to use himself to reignite the sun when his body explodes. But in this version of events, she just takes her into outer space and she just blows up into nothingness. And I almost forgot, there's also a Superman 2 Christopher Reeve reference when Kara says, "Would you care to step outside?" I thought Oliver killing himself was very poetic and in keeping with the character. Like, he's the person who's not afraid to put someone down. Barry's the one that has trouble killing people. You have the big double wedding at the end of the episode. Love the way they use Diggle. He throws up again, like every time the Flash super speeds him around, he either throws up or spills everything that he's holding. During the vows, Barry makes a couple references to Iris being his lightning rod across the multiverse. Like in every reality, Barry and Iris are always together in some form or another. Like their personalities are different, but they're always together. They come as a pair. The Oliver Felicity wedding wasn't quite as surprising because of the way they were pushing that so hard from the beginning of the crossover, and there was a lot of behind the scenes pictures, so it was rumored to be happening anyway. So it wasn't a huge shocker, but I was not as happy with the way they just sort of tacked it on at the end. Like, oh, and by the way, why don't you also do this while you're doing that? But just let me know if you spotted any other Easter eggs that I didn't mention during the video. The mid-season finales for all the TV shows are next week, so I'll do a trailer video for The Flash after I do my Infinity War trailer tomorrow. So if you didn't know, the Avengers Infinity War trailer is dropping in the morning. That will be my next video. Congratulations to the giveaway winner from my last video, Damon Blackfire. Please private message me so I can get your contact details. I'll name a new winner when I post that next Flash video. While you wait for everything, click here for the Infinity War teaser trailer and click here for my part 1 crossover video. Thank you so much for watching. Everybody stay awesome. I'll see you guys tonight.